Hello there folks, welcome back. It's Dragon Wolf here. We are going to pick up from where we left off in the pub. And this is just after the guy's been run over, basically, and kidnapped from what we can tell. So, let's have a wee look. And I've been messing around with different things. I think I've got everything nice and set now. So you shouldn't get any echo, shouldn't get any feedback. I can play around with volumes and different things if it's too quiet. I think I've got it set down now so that the game volume is, you know, decent. We've also got decent sort of microphone coming through and the two shouldn't overlap, no echoes, nothing like that. So in the video, I don't know if you remember, but you saw something falling down here. I'm going to assume it was the big diamond we're looking for.
I pushed the switch down, but in doing so it snapped off in my hand.
Some form of electrical switch. Let's see what this guy says.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir?
Hey, how about another drink?
See him again?
Do you serve cocktails?
I'll serve anyone with manners. And money.
No, I'm serious. Have you considered turning McDevitt's into a cocktail bar? Cocktails are chic, cool, and popular with younger drinkers.
What? Kids in the bar? Can you imagine it? Pinball, pimples, and puke.
Right, I get the picture. I'll settle for a glass of stout.
I'm sorry, but the pump appears to be broken.
I can fix it for you.
I don't think so. This is a job for a professional electrician. Oh well, at least the glass washer is still working. It's not my deal, is it?
I'm guessing that switch was something to do with the pumps. Now, we happen to have an electrician's card here.
It just so happens I'm an electrician. Check out my credentials.
Well, no. Isn't that marvellous? Here's a house bedeviled with faulty wiring of a wayward nature. Here's you, an electric man, with a little plastic card to prove it. I still want to see what you can do before I let you touch me beer pumps. You can make a start on the glass washer.
Fair enough.
And when you finish that, will you take a look at the pumps?
I love that he doesn't remember that we showed him that card earlier.
It was an electrical plug attached to the glass washer. It was an electric glass washer. It looked even older than the barman. I used all my knowledge of electrical engineering to examine the plug. I couldn't see anything obviously wrong with the machine. I figured it must be the wiring.
I don't know why I walked back and forward to investigate, but there you go.
I couldn't see anything obviously wrong with the machine. It was an electrical
We just happen to have some wire.
I replaced the fuse with a piece of wire. I knew it was dangerous, but I was desperate enough to disregard everything I knew about standard safety precautions. Excuse me, Mr. Leary. I fixed your glass washer, no problem.
Bingo! And a blessing to all the saints. A free half-pint to that man, on the house. Now, could you take a look at the beer pumps?
Well, I guess so, but I'm not making any promises.
If you can't fix them, I'll have a riot on me hands.
The pumps are in the cellar, right?
That's right. You'll find a flashlight down there somewhere.
Let's go down to the cellar.
It was the lever which locked the trap door. I pushed the lever and heard the grating of metal. but nothing appeared to happen.
Okay. So I'm gonna guess we need to go up and get some light in here. And I'm hoping this is now unlocked. Huzzah!
I lifted the trap door, and an overpowering smell of stale beer rose from the cellar below. I looked down on a stone-tiled floor, way too far to jump.
Excuse me.
There was a nasty feeling in my guts I usually associated with light opera. It was Khan. What's the problem?
Did you see what happened here a few minutes ago?
What was that?
A man was involved in an unfortunate accident.
I didn't see anything.
What about the boy?
He doesn't know anything either. The kid, well, you know how it is in these rural communities. Not enough genes to go round. I prayed McGuire had the sense to keep his mouth shut. Was the guy hurt bad?
He's been taken care of, but he thinks he dropped a small parcel. You didn't happen to find it, did you?
If I had, I would have taken it to the police.
Of course. Thank you.
That guy sounds creepy. Thank you. Anyway. I also don't like how he says that he's
Now I
been
could
taken
see.
care
I
of.
spotted Mr. Leary's flashlight easily. Then I noticed a flash of light. Something sparkling beneath the open trap door.
Did you just steal that guy's flashlight?
It was Peagram's gem, all right. A large, uncut blue stone. I guess I was already under its spell.
Did you find it?
What?
Whatever you was looking for.
Yeah. Listen, McGuire. I want you to keep this to yourself.
No problemo. Just chuck us up a crate of lager.
No way. You're not old enough.
We can sell it and make some cash.
Forget it, kid. I couldn't betray Mr. Leary's trust.
I could, for sure. That old misery guts deserves it.
If you want to do me a favor, keep a lookout for that guy in the suit.
Okay. But it'll cost you a packet of chips.
Oh, and shout if you see that Ferrari.
That's irritating as all hell.
It was a rusty faucet. The faucet creaked, coughed, and spewed out a stream of rusty-colored water. I shut off the faucet as tight as I could, but it kept on dripping.
Yes, we did just steal the guy's flashlight. I think that is literally just the gem in it.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir?
Yeah, I'm not going to show him the gem.
I gotta be going.
I don't know if he shot the guy's bar again.
It was impossible to return the switch to its original position. The plastic cover had
But
been
isn't it
smashed
though?
and broken away, revealing a switch.
Right then. Oh, to this guy again then.
Hi, it's me again.
So I see. What now?
Did you happen to see a red sports car down on the road?
I caught a glimpse of a flash of red on the hill and heard the racket.
Sure, it was an awful noise. A sports car, you say?
A Ferrari, to be exact.
A racing car? And what was it doing here? The poor fella must have been lost.
The driver of the Ferrari was involved in an accident.
Is that so?
Yeah, he knocked somebody down outside the bar.
What an idiot! How could a thing like that happen?
He was traveling too fast.
So fast, he ran right under the car?
I mean, the car was traveling too fast.
But you'd have thought the idiot could have heard it coming.
Maybe you know the guy who was hit by the Ferrari. His name is Sean Fitzgerald.
Oh, I know him all right. That's me nephew, the idiot responsible for the stacking of my hay cart. Was he killed by the car?
Oh no, but he has been abducted.
Well, that's a relief now.
That's a relief. Okay.
Aren't you going to look for your nephew?
What for? From what you say, it's too late.
Well, you could report the matter to the police.
Better not. Besides, what could they do?
Well, they could mount a search.
They have only the one bicycle between them. In a question of superior acceleration, I put me money on the Ferrari.
I think police in this game, in this world, are just abysmal.
I think you ought to know exactly what Sean has gotten himself into.
I'm not sure I want to know.
But you're his uncle, his own flesh and blood.
You're right, but what can I do? If I'm not here to guard it, some idiot might try to climb the haystack. What a moral dilemma. Stay here and guard this potentially lethal agricultural construction, or to go off in search of the prodigal nephew, the very man responsible for said hazard? It'll need some thinking about.
Why, there's no problem.
You're right. Why didn't I think of it before? We'll demolish the haystack.
You don't have to demolish the haystack to go look for Sean. I'll stay here in your place and warn anyone who's silly enough to climb it.
Marvellous! I think I should start me inquiries in the bar.
This guy is so laid back. By the way, your nephew's been kidnapped.
He strode off in the direction
Ah,
of the
well.
village bar, leaving me to contemplate the stack of hay.
By contemplate, you mean climb, right, George?
The stack of hay stopped, short of the top of the wall. Even if I stretched as far as I could, the wall was out of reach. What I needed was a slice or two of Alice's Wonderland.
Oh, hello.
There was a narrow crack between two of the stones where the centuries-old mortar had crumbled away.
Stick your foot in,
I
George.
pushed my fingers into the narrow crack. It went back several inches into the rock.
Okay.
I inserted the end of the lifting key in the mortarless crack and gave it a firm shove. It remained lodged in the wall, jutting out to form a step.
There you go. Now you should be able to get up. Alright, what we got? Oh, it's a goat. Hello, goat.
It was a rusted piece of iron, maybe part of a plow or something.
Okay. Why are you moving that over,
The
George?
rope by which the goat was tethered had become tangled on the old plowshare.
Well, you kind of deserved that, to be fair. I'm guessing that was a puzzle. I just totally breezed past. Okay, what's this?
The sack contained a fine white powder.
Ah, cocaina.
As I dipped my fingers into the soft white powder, I realized what it was. Plaster of Paris. I'd used it in kindergarten to make casts of animal paw prints.
So no cocaina.
I tried in vain to move the panel.
Yeah, that shit ain't moving.
Behind the altar was a carved panel, decorated with animals, birds, and plants.
Ooh, what's this?
The statue was too heavy to lift. It overbalanced into the sand. As I swung the stone upright, I noticed it had left a pattern of holes in the sand. The 5 fingers on the back of the statue had left their impressions in the fine sand. I placed my fingers in the 5 impressions left by the fallen stone. It was weird. They fit perfectly.
That means that your hand...
There was a
should
pattern
work
of
for this.
5 holes arranged on the wall. They'd been drilled there deliberately.
Stick your fingers in,
I
George.
placed my fingers and thumb into the holes in the wall. Nothing happened.
Okay. Apparently not. Maybe in the holes? Oh, hello. Oh, the holes, dear man, the holes. Then you go right up to it. Ah, now I can do it, right?
I sprinkled the plaster on the sand until the holes were filled. I smoothed the plaster level with the sand. It was my first experience of home improvement. The patch of sand where the statue had fallen was covered with a dense sprinkling of plaster.
Now, knowing what I know about plaster Paris, it needs water. The only place I've seen water is in the pub.
The faucet creaked, coughed, and spewed out a stream of rusty-colored water.
Now, is there anything I can hold water in round about here?
It was a rust.
Okay, what have I got? Can I hold it in the nose?
I held the towel under the faucet and soaked it with water.
Then you put it back in your inside pocket. That must feel nasty.
It was a rectangle of toweling printed with the words, Nagopaline Stout builds body. The towel was soaked through with water.
Okay, in the
I
real
shut
world,
off the faucet as tight as I could, but it kept on dripping.
we would just take one of these items here and just take that. But in Broken Sword world, we take a sodden towel. It should work. This is one of those points if I'd remembered what was happening in the game. That would have been a lot shorter. Because no one would think to do that with a towel for no reason.
The trickle of water was quickly absorbed by the plaster.
I was going to say, don't tell me to go back and forward.
My improvised plaster cast was slowly drying out. I eased the solid piece of plaster from the sand. Underneath, it had copy of the statue.
Now we're going to do the statue and the thing.
The plaster cast was a pretty neat replica of the back of the stone, complete with protruding fingers.
Now.
The hardened plaster cast fitted snugly into the 5 matching sockets. There was a soft thud, then silence.
So why did these fingers work? Luckily we stole that flashlight earlier. Mon Fauchon. So again, back with Nico. I don't remember this being a part of the game. I just remember George coming back. So. Huh. I was like, I hope George doesn't come over. Okay. So. Teddy. Chest. Telephone? They call George?
There wasn't anyone that I needed to call.
Okay. I'm not done the music again. Flashing light.
I had messages waiting to be played.
You have 3 messages.
Hey, Collard, it's me, your favorite editor. Guess what? I'm gonna give you a second chance. I need somebody to write the TV column. Pays lousy, so what's new? If you're interested, drop by the office. In fact, drop by the office anyway. We have to talk, Nico. That story of yours I spiked. It won't go away. You've made some dangerous enemies out there.
Hey, Nico, it's your old pal. I mean, your new pal, George. Whoa, Ireland. It's a whole different country. And I got
No
some
shit.
amazing news for you. Gem of a story, in fact. Oh, gotta go. Yeah, fella here's got a drink lined up for me. See you tomorrow, Nico. Slàinte. Yep, only here for a day and I'm speaking the lingo like a local.
Mademoiselle Coulard, this is Imelda Carchon. I wanted to thank you for being so understanding when... Come to lunch, why don't you? Tomorrow. I might have more news. There's a Monsieur Merlon coming to see me this evening. He says he knows why Pierre was murdered. In fact, he'll be here shortly. I shall let you know what he says. Goodbye, dear girl. Till tomorrow.
Merlin? Oh my God. Merlin's the killer. I better get over there and warn her now. When it came to being two-faced, Imelda was up there with the best. I owed her nothing, but I couldn't just let her die. I arrived to find the Palais Royal courtyard deserted. I only hoped that I'd beaten the assassin here. I had to warn Imelda before it was too late.
So, question being, is Imelda in on this with the killer? Or without?
It was held in place by wires. Maybe it wasn't art after all. Maybe it was a cell phone transmitter. People say, what's the point of modern art? I say, isn't it obvious? Fixed tight. Presumably to stop critics stealing it. Who else would want to?
Fair amount of items now, doesn't she? Let's look over here.
A doorbell. The intercom system wasn't working. Bad sign. Somebody had cut the wire.
Oh, Merlin's definitely here then, isn't he?
Locked? No way was I going to break through a door like that.
Right, does anyone else think this might possibly be a ladder?
Just your average modern art retaining wire. I unhooked the first wire.
This is gonna fall.
I released the second wire. Even with both wires removed, the statue remained upright.
Give it a push then.
If I could deconstruct this, I could deconstruct anything.
This looks even better. It's like a pair of stairs.
The plastic sheet was thick and strong. I'd need more than my hands to tear it.
Something like a hairpin, maybe?
No.
Alright. This bullet casing? Damn, that comes in handy. Flushed again. She's still got to be dead, isn't she? Let's check darkness first. Nice, it's all happening in her husband's. Oh, hello, wait a minute. I thought a door was open there. It's all in her husband's study.
My God, I'm too late.
Yep. Oh, she's dead. She's cocoed.
Imelda. Oh no. Nico? Don't worry, you're going to be all right.
You know that isn't true.
It was Merlin, wasn't it?
Dressed as a cavalier. How absurd. You came to warn me, didn't you?
I must be crazy.
Let me see you, Nico.
All this time you were just using me. Which one is the real Imelda?
You are an extraordinary girl. Thierry would have been so proud of you.
You didn't know my father.
So like him.
Not a bit.
Something about the eyes. I wish we'd had time to get to know each other.
Blech, I am now
She
to
was
dead.
gone. She cheated me, lied to me, used me. But why?
Well, you've never been sheepish before. Start searching her.
Even in death, Imelda looked the same. Beautiful, inscrutable. The Ice Queen alone in her ice palace. I opened it. Inside was a tiny gold key.
Oh, we know what this has got to
I
be for,
took the
don't we?
key. I had to leave. I knew I could never return.
It's going to be for the box in her apartment, isn't it? And magically, just like that, back in her apartment.
In the dim light, I caught the reflection of something metallic. A small, sinister-looking metal disc had been tucked under my father's box. It was a bug. Oh, chère cousine. You left me a little present. You shouldn't have. You don't scare me. Espèce de...
Interesting. Maybe I should have checked that earlier. She now knows George went to Ireland. That's a little look at
It was the key from Imelda's locket.
That tells us nothing.
The box was carved by my father. It never had a key. The elephant on the lid was a perfect match to Carchon's.
Wanna bet it never had the key?
I took out the key.
Suddenly, just like that. It had a key all along.
I couldn't believe it. Imelda's key opened my father's box. I dreaded what I was going to find inside. It was a photograph of Imelda. But why here? In my father's box? I felt as if a black hole had swallowed me up. Imelda and Carchon grinning. While behind them a village was being razed to the ground. Its people butchered. And there, next to them, staring out at me across the years, my own father. There was a letter. I feared there was even worse to come.
I'm sorry, but if you had weird stuff in a box your dad gave you, you would try and open that.
Hotel St. Georges, Algiers, Friday. My darling Thierry, by the time you read this, you'll be safely out of Africa. You need not fear. Pierre and the organization do not know who you're really working for, or about us. Did you think I would betray you? I could not. You wanted me to leave him, but I don't have your courage. I know too much of what has been going on here. They would find me and they would kill us both. Enjoy your life in Paris, Thierry. Your life of honor, of patriotic duty. Do they give medals to spies? No. They'll just give you a funny job in an embassy somewhere. I could never share that with you. Imagine me, a diplomat's wife. So I must stay here with Pierre, the two of us bound together by what we have done to this country. Au revoir, my love. You will be in my heart until I die. Imelda. Suddenly everything made sense. My father had been working undercover for the government. He was one of the good guys after all.
Isn't that nice?
He and Imelda must have fallen in love. She'd found out who he really was, so he had to leave. It had broken her heart, but she had never revealed it to anyone. I knew I couldn't either. Whatever he was doing, he'd had good reason to keep it secret. I decided I would respect that and tell nobody.
I still wonder where the elephant's coming in. Did she sleep there?
I knew it was George. For a moment I was tempted to pretend that I was out, or ask him to go away and come back later. But then... Come in.
Hello, George. So, where did you stay last night?
At McDevitt's. I got to drinking with Doyle and a couple of the guys.
That explains why you look so ill today. Did you get any sleep at all?
Not much. I had to share the room with another guy.
Did he snore?
Hardly. He was dead.
And you say Pigram has disappeared?
Without a trace. But my visit wasn't a complete waste of time.
Here, have a gem.
The Templar's gem. Whoever Jacques Marquet is, he's in for a disappointment.
Jacques Marquet?
He's the guy who should have collected the gem from Fitzgerald.
What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man. Let's take another look at the manuscript. There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces. A knight with a crystal ball. The knight's scroll bears a phrase in Latin, Through my teachings, you will be enlightened. There's a guy working on a loom.
No clues on this then.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod.
Look there, 2 guys on the same horse. What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man. I can't sit here all day, much as I'd like to.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lopinot at the Krone Museum. And why don't you see if Rosso has heard anything?
Okay.
Perfect.
Anything else I can do for you while I'm out? Shopping, a trip to the laundromat?
Just take care of yourself.
I so much wanted to talk to George about everything that had happened, but I knew I never could. My father's connection to Africa would have to remain a secret forever. His bravery would be known only to the government and to me. Revealing it would just damage his memory. People would take the story and twist it. Before long, he would be the villain and Carchon would be the hero. I know how they do that. I'm a journalist.
Know how to do that. I do it for a living. Right. Guess we'll go to... I said Chile's Museum of Police. I've not been to police in a while. We'll go there. What I'll do, I'll stop this just now. That's been a good 35 minutes or so. We will pick back up in exactly the same place and we'll start questioning Rosso and see why he's so put off on following up any of these leads. But thank you very much for watching. As always, any comments, feel free to leave them. This is Dragon Wolf signing off. I will catch you guys next time. And before I forget, I will actually save this time, which is probably quite handy. Policia. Perfect. Take care, guys.